Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace. And I might as well get this video over with so I can move on to something more pleasant. You know, I sometimes use, quite often in long videos, I am venting, using this as a pressure release valve. You know, my way of journaling is, at this point in my life, I've been doing journaling since I was 10 years old. But this point is in video. And I wasn't then, because they didn't have such a thing. But, yeah, this one is once again about this one, I guess you call it a system with insurance, health care insurance, and their providers that are under them. I understand that it's several, usually here it's several from what I've seen. And I cannot say, people might say, well, why don't you change the insurance? Well, you think I'm going to find something any better with any of them? I don't know. I really don't know. I've had troubles with ones that had different insurances, so yeah. But anyway, this is just more to the saga. Today is January 19th, 2026, and it's Martin Luther King. And I had looked up to see if they were going to be open, because on today, because it's a federal holiday, and it said no, because it's a federal holiday, they would not be open. So I left my phone on. Okay, so, you know, because it took a long while, last year sometime, to more than one phone call to get their help desk, that does the portal, to get it all fixed out with all the accounts, all this stuff that, and one of them I spoke to deactivated my account instead. The portal account. Oh man, what a mess it was. It's always a mess. And the whole thing was for me to tell them I don't want any phone conversations. I don't want them to call me. I want to be able to do everything through the portal and have them do everything through the portal. I want it in writing through the portal. Yeah, besides, of course, seeing the doctor. You know, I can't, well, I do actually see the doctor through portal. Sometimes for their telemed stuff, you know. But, yeah, you know, within reason, they need to do. No scheduling, no any of that. No, do you need this and that and the other? No. No means no. No phone calls. They are not to call me. No. And you can imagine how many phone calls I've received since then. Unbelievable. They even give other people phone. You know, it's not about any bill. No, it's not about a bill. It's that they're calling to, because I guess they think that they have jobs and it doesn't matter what the patient said to do everything through the portal. That doesn't matter to them. What matters is that they get their job done ASAP and they don't have to spend the time of going through the portal. Goodness, what is this patient think? Who do they think they are? Yes, I'm being sarcastic because that's what it is. And then the long and short of it, well, another one called me today. Oh my goodness, you wouldn't believe how she said, I have to connect you to somebody. The whole conversation was almost, the phone call was almost 40 minutes of my time wasted, because they're not supposed to be calling me. It's supposed to be done through the portal. And at the end of it, it was the manager, because the middle person, she was belligerent. They want to say, you know, when you call to complain, you have to leave a message, because they're not going to answer the phone. They said that, no, you have to leave a message. And it used to say, if you call and you're belligerent, you're calling a complaint line, and you're disrespectful, we will not help you. Okay, I've never been belligerent. I've never been, you know, hostile in any way. I'm very respectful to everybody, and I've never heard anything back from any of the calls. I'm a social behavioral scientist. I'm not new to this planet. I was not born yesterday. So, and I complained more than once about that recording, that they're telling the patient that the patient should not be belligerent and disrespectful. Well, a good possibility the patient's calling a complaint line because they were disrespected. I was today. They called me anyway. They've done it again. They've done it before. This month, 2 or 3 times. This one place. Now, there's all these other ones, too. And it says, do not call. Everything must go through the portal. No. At the next one, the second one, she was belligerent. Oh my gosh. She talked over me. She refused to allow me to speak. She kept, and I said, let me finish what I'm saying. And she would butt in. Okay. So she said, "What, do you want to speak to my manager?" I said, "Yes, I do." You know that they're all buddy, these things. It's not going to be on your side. They're going to protect the company, always. I mean, I am not new to this planet. And of course she did exactly that. And she included, I said, look, do not call me. It says, do not call. Everything goes through the portal. Do not call. And she said, no, it actually says that the patient prefers not to be called. I said, no, the patient stated, do not call. And then she said that what she was going to write on it about this phone call was that the patient was upset because they called and woke her up. I said, so you're going to blame the victim by stating it's the patient's fault. Instead of, the patient said, do not call, and you're calling. And she started to say, I said, you do know I am recording this conversation. Her attitude changed real quick. She shut her mouth. The patient did record that call. I could record it on Adam's phone. See, because usually they call me, of course, on my cell phone, and that's what I use to record these. I usually call using my landline, call them, so I can record on my cell phone. Adam doesn't really like me using his cell phone for anything. I wouldn't like him using mine. Well, I wouldn't really care. I'm a really helpful person, but he said, here's my phone. Because he's sick of this kind of shit. I almost said that word. He's sick of it. That's what he would say. That the way that they treat him too now, that he's seeing more doctors. He's seeing it finally. And I said, welcome to my world. You know, this is what I've been putting up with. Having to put up with. What are you going to do? You tell them no. That is harassment. It is harassment. If you tell somebody, do not call me, and they continue to call because apparently they just think they can step over any boundary. Patient says no, they say go. We got a job. We don't want to have to go through all that. Go through the portal and actually listen. And of course, you know they don't apologize. No. It's patient. Patient is the problem. Well, I've uploaded so many of these calls and everything. I uploaded them to YouTube. Okay, and I've got copies and stuff downloaded and all. Which reminds me, I need to go and start downloading even more of them. And I also did a lot of screenshots on their portal and downloaded those. And I'm getting very prepared because this harassment by them has got to stop. And that's exactly what it is. See, what happened was they were going to order another test. I left with a complaint line stating, why are they haven't even seen me. And not just them, the other ones from the other county, not here, not in my county, but another one, the ones that seem like they have a really big problem with people in this one. And apparently a lot of people call them, or whatever is the case. They called me to start off with, right off the bat. When I first got this insurance, I had no idea why. But they call and say that there's something like a triage. They call after you have your first appointment, after you have this appointment, and they check to see how it went and all that. Oh man, so much involved in all this. So many phone calls. Calls after calls after calls. And I'm a night owl. So yes, this time they woke me up. Again. And it says, do not call. But now they're going to say, well, it says prefers. You see how they try to get out of stuff? Prefers. You know, that voice, I can't do it. It'll come to me every once in a while if I talk about them. Because I actually worked for surgeons was what I worked for. doing office management, surgery scheduling, medical billing, this kind of thing. While I was a career student over 20 years, I did that. And there's an attitude they have because they see themselves as superior. And the patient, they erect totem poles, and the patient is either put at the bottom of the totem pole or underneath it, as I say. That was my own little creation. What it seems like. They put you under the totem pole. We use totem poles wrong. You know, people who use totem poles that way. Anyway, I don't play totem pole game. But if I did, patient's on top. Period. There is no question about it. If I were to say, in the scheme of things, the hierarchy, the patient is always on top. It is not about the staff. It's not about the doctor. It's not about any of them. It's about the patient. Period. Full stop. Period. Who would argue? Well, the people who have this sense of superiority definitely would. Boy, I just went stream of consciousness on that again. I always do. But yeah, I feel harassed. I really do. I feel like, you know, you put a boundary down and you state it, and they're going to do whatever they want no matter what. And there's no way I could guarantee that any other place would be any different. And in fact, I called a place one time, and then, you know, I don't know if they had used my insurance. It wasn't, from what I understand, it wasn't one that was through this insurance. I hope I never mention this insurance. I'm trying not to, but they're trying to consume my life. Call whenever they want to. I don't have any, you know, if I have my cell phone on, how dare I not answer their phone calls? After all, they're superior. I'm on the bottom. I'm underneath that totem pole, according to them. Oh my goodness, stream of consciousness again. But yeah, where was I? It's just been, it's overwhelming. This has been just such an overwhelming. But like I was saying, I called this one place and asked them. I said, well, this is what I'm facing. And then the place that I was facing was one that was just in network. It wasn't employees. You know, their own employees and their own staff and stuff. You know, through the insurance. It was one who are in network with the insurance. It's two different things. They're not employees of that network, that system. Anyway, so they're in network, and the woman actually had the nerve, you know, the people, the employees, they're like this is nothing. This, they can say this, and it has no consequences for them. That if the doctor finds she can do some procedures, which of course pay more, and that's what they even state, that she's going to be paid more to do procedures, and any of the patients have appointments, then they will call and tell the patient to reschedule their appointment. Appointments with them take around 5 months. Okay, you're seeing one of them because you have a health problem, and they're scheduling appointments out 5 months. Or they'll say, well, we have another opening. Oh, like it's so much trouble. We're calling you and telling you you have to reschedule. But you're going to have to do it when we tell you it's going to be done. Because we have one open at this time. I'm a night owl. They'll usually say 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. No, I will not. Well, then you're just going to have to wait until 5 months. Do you hear this? You hear this? This is supposed to be like the number one, or one close to the number one in Texas. Wow, can you imagine what the worst one is? Like, if any, like I say, are any of them going to be any different? Really? Will any of them be any different? So, the long and short of that, what's that? I've lost all the things I need to fill in what I was about to finish right now, because this is so overwhelming. I am exhausted, I think, just because of this kind of stuff. The whole thing of, oh, well, I didn't finish. Here it is. That of, you know, they're telling me that at any time, 2 days before my appointment, I have to reschedule it. I have to mind them. I have to do it whenever they tell me to do it, not when I scheduled it. And, you know, I can't be belligerent. I can't complain. I have to be respectful. I have to be respectful to them. Okay, and they have the nerve to say, I read online, and I'm not going to say who says this. I think I did before what I read. And it's somebody who would be the one who would say, that no, that's patient abandonment and it's unethical. Patient abandonment and unethical. You got a patient out there who's having health problems, and because you want to make more money, you're going to the doctor, and they're going to do that to tell the patient has to reschedule, and there's no option for them. I've found this out. I have verified this more than once with employees that work there. There's no option for them to say the provider changed the appointment. They said the patient changed it. I got chastised for changing 2 appointments when I first started with this, and I didn't do that. They did that. Their provider did that. Oh, there's my squirrel again. Squirrely. Oh, she likes to see me outside. Anyway, yeah, this has been too much. And then today happened, and I was very upset because one of the things is they were trying to get yet another one of these big tests out of me, and they had called earlier this month, and I reported that to their that phone number that says don't be belligerent. It used to say that, and they changed it. They just say now you have to be respectful of leaving the message at a complaint line. You got to be real calm, cool, collected. I'm a calm, cool, collected person. That's what people always said about me. You know, you're so calm, cool, collected. Yeah. So they see that as belligerent. How dare I have a complaint on the complaint line? Oh my gosh. Shame on a person for having a complaint. Oh, so I left that message with the complaint department. And I have a feeling the complaint department might have contacted them. Maybe, because see, there's supposed to be an advocacy, but I have learned that that kind of group tends to side with the business. Of course, I'm not new to this planet. I mean, it should not be, of course. It should be what it is. It's being funded. Yet they're not doing it. I've seen that more than once, myself, personally. You know, calling for advocacy for whatever reason it was. And, yeah. And I was even told by one government, just told, we don't care. It was actually two different ones that, one of them said they have to prove it and we're not going to let them. And the other one was more of a flippant, like, so, what? You think, you know, what, we're going to do something about it? What are you trying to say here? Unbelievable stuff, honestly. I don't remember the exact words. That was a long time ago. Both of them decades ago, but I do remember the flippant attitude. Anyway, I need to take a second. Okay, to get back to this part, you know, about the, they were trying to get yet another, a big, one of these big procedures done. I've already done one. I did it in April. And that's what I left on the complaint line, that I think I actually said it on there, that I told them that it's not even been a year. It was after that I got on the portal myself and checked to see exactly when the date was. And it was in April, so it's not been a year. This is January, the following year. So it's not been a year. And they're already wanting another one of those. Well, they're saying that nobody said that. We don't do that here. Well, you see, I do this thing called recording the phone conversations. But they're denying it. They're denying that anybody there would have said that. They said, maybe it was your cardiologist. I said, no, it wasn't my cardiologist. It was from you. this office. And the woman, the second one, the middle one here today, she said, well, I was the one that called you. I said, okay, then you know what you said. I didn't say that. Then she said, well, no, I wasn't the one that called you. Just like that. Like, I said, these phone conversations are recorded. Yes, I meant by them. You see what I'm saying? They don't care. They know that some of them, they claim these phone conversations could be recorded, okay? But if they do, there's some law that at least some of them need to be recorded. But you know, those I'm not new to this planet, might conveniently not have been recorded. But you know, the patients have this nifty little thing on their cell phone. And they've actually, some of them have actually tried to say that you can't record because you might hear some other patients, stuff about their situation. No, from everything I know, I'm not an expert on HIPAA, but I remember being one that had to train people about, that worked in whatever it was. One was in an insurance company. They needed somebody that could understand what HIPAA was saying back then. And it was a major health insurance company in the United States. And I read it for them. I explained it to them what best I could. I'm not a legal person. They needed to hire someone. They got the money. And not just someone I was a temporary. Yeah. And even though a very educated one at the time. I still am, even then. But, and no, it's not on the patient. If that patient overhears somebody else, the patient should not be hearing any other patient's health insurance, private health health, what is it called? Oh, I cannot remember. Information. Just private health information. We should not be hearing anything about any other patient at all. That is on the providers, not on the patient. If the patient is recording an visit within the doctor in a room, the patient should not be hearing, and neither should its recorder, his or her recorder, should be hearing about some other patient. It's not on the patient. It's on them. But they'll switch it around. They'll act like you're stupid. You don't know this. So they won't get recorded. So they can say whatever they want. This is I don't know this for fact. This is my view as a social and behavioral scientist who was a career student, undergraduate and graduate for over 20 years, who has degrees, plural, in psychology and sociology. Actually has letters behind her name. But they know better. We didn't say that. Admit nothing, deny everything, and make counter accusations. Boom. That's how it's done. The patient recorded your conversation. So you're admitting nothing, denying everything. Patient has a recording. And of you making counter accusations. You lying. Right there on the recorder. Right there. You see, I'm pointing right there. The nerve. I laugh at the nerve of people. The actual nerve. And yes, it was their office that called me, and they wanted to run another procedure, an expensive one even. And see, there's somebody within their system that from another, I could say this, I have to repeat this, from another county that must have had it with this county, and they're stating that this could be a legal issue for them. This kind of thing, them wanting to run test after test and procedure after procedure, and they're doing it wrong, is what I was told. They connected me to her. I didn't ask. I have no idea. I was ill at the time. I have no idea. Why they connected me to her, didn't write it down. I was just like, huh? I mean, just, wow. What? I had no idea. I'm not the one scheduling all the tests and the procedures. I just knew I was complaining that, I mean, at some point I started complaining about, what is all this? I had 36 appointments last year, and that did not even include, all the ones that they rescheduled on me, and all the whiteout on my daily planner I had to buy just for this purpose, just for the medical. It doesn't include all the physical therapy appointments. It doesn't include all the lab. Well, I may have included the labs because I had to schedule many of those. 3 appointments for one thing to get done. It's a bit ridiculous. That my heavy sigh is real. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted by this. That's why more and more these days I'm doing more and more videos on it, because I want these videos, and it states the date. When I put them up, it's usually sometime later. Like I just put up one last night or early this morning. It was in the middle of the night. I'm a night owl, okay? So technically what day it would state. But today is the 19th, and it was done on the 9th. Okay, you see what I'm saying? And I had actually 2 about this stuff, 2 or 3 on that date. So I'm behind. It's just overwhelming. It's just too much. And like I said, how would I know? This is supposed to be one of the better ones. How would I know? I actually had considered it, and I told them that I have actually considered going and making all my appointments in their county, which is not close. It's 2.5 hour drive, 2.5 hour drive. So I wouldn't have to face this BS that I face here. Because anybody I speak to there, they are so professional. Honestly, they are so professional. And here they're not. Here it's all, like, they're going to set up that hierarchy. They got to do that right from the start. It's so emotional. And their emotion is, I'm superior. And I'm going to prove it to you. And I got that anger and that hate and that. I don't hear it. It says, we're going to add the word prefer in front of it to make it all sound like we're okay. The patient prefers to go through the portal, so we can go ahead and do our job and not have to worry. But like I said, 3rd time, not have to worry about that. Actually going through the portal, respecting what the patient says. No, we're going to just add that word in there, prefer. Oh, God. Psycho, man. This is just unbelievable. Enough.